to Andrew Callaghan. 25-year-old independent journalist Andrew Callaghan, the host of All Gas, No Brakes and Channel 5, has been accused of sexual misconduct. Callaghan has amassed millions of fans as a goofy, deadpan interlocutor, highlighting the absurdities of modern culture. His straight-faced interviews with fringe members of contemporary society, MAGA heads, QAnon influencers, flat earthers, they often went viral, with Callaghan becoming something of a celebrity of the online left. Yet on TikTok, Callaghan is now going viral for far less innocuous reasons. 2 women have come forward alleging sexual misconduct, accusing the internet personality of pressuring them to have sex, failing to adhere to the boundaries of consent. Very serious stuff. Let's listen to the first accuser.
I don't like seeing abusers get platforms. And my abuser, Andrew Callaghan, has been plastered all over my news feed. And I've tried to come to him person to person and try to get him to take accountability for what he did. But his version of what happened the night that he assaulted me is so skewed. So I will tell you that he did eventually get consent. And that's the main point, is that he eventually got consent because he wore me down. He told me he needed a place to stay for the night. He had some sort of falling out with one of his crew members or whatever. And I was very clear about the fact that we are not hooking up. He gets in my bed and wears me down to the point where I eventually do agree to do things that I wasn't proud of. And I wasn't proud of them and thought it was my fault for so long that I continued to be nice to him after the situation. I've told close friends of mine, I've tried coming out about this before, and he texted me saying that it basically ruined his life and that his life was over now because of things that I said. And other women have come forward to me, but this is my first time publicly talking about it on a platform like TikTok because I hope it gets traction. I hope people listen to me. I hope that if something similar has happened to you, that you know that that's not your fault. It wasn't my fault what happened to me, just because I eventually caved.
That's just one accuser, just one. Another TikToker, Dana, posted a series of videos on January 8th claiming Callaghan had also pressured her into sex. She alleges having hooked up with Callaghan once, but found him mean and demanding, and that he had creeped her out. When he reached out to her again, she alleges she declined to hook up with him, only for him to invite her to dinner so he could apologize for his behavior. At the dinner, he allegedly repeatedly asked to have sex with her in her car, though she said no. She offered to drive him home, though I did not want to have sex with him again ever. She said, listen.
I told him I would take him home because he lived close by, but that I did not want to have sex in my car at all. I did not want to have sex with him again. After we got to my car, he started advancing towards me, started touching my inner thigh, pulled me forward, and started kissing my neck. He proceeded to put his hand down my pants. I told him to stop. I told him to get off of me multiple times. He tried to put my hand down his pants, and I was, fighting against him during this, told him to please stop. He said, you could at least suck my dick. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. Get out of my car. He was mad that I would even say that, but at the same time, he was laughing at me and continued to try to kiss me and was like, are you serious? Come on, come on. I told him to get out of my car again. He wouldn't get out. And he said, you could at least take me home. So I realized at this point, I would not be able to physically push him out of my car. So I started driving quickly and erratically down the road. I pulled into a busier street and I stopped abruptly. And I told him to get the out of my car. And he was like, can I at least get a kiss goodbye? And I said, no, get the out. He left.
Apparently, this kind of behavior does exist for those non-believers out there. Though she says they never spoke again after this incident, in response to commenters requesting receipts backing up her claims, at Moldy Freckle also shared screen recordings of direct messages she allegedly exchanged with Callaghan, making plans to meet up to show that the two had previously been in contact. The allegations came forward following the release of his HBO Max film, This Place Rules, produced with A24, which follows events and characters surrounding January 6th. Ravana?
Yeah, so
why don't you just go?
Yeah, I'm really familiar with Andrew Callaghan's content. I was a fan of his content before the allegations came forward. And I've seen a lot of people on the left not necessarily defending him, people who believe the accusers, the victims in this situation, but they'll say things like, not Andrew, it couldn't be Andrew, or I'm devastated to hear this, which, your feelings are valid, but you don't know the man. They do. And I think that the feelings that they have had to endure after what he's done to them, should take precedence. And I think it goes to show that having, somewhat good politics doesn't mean that you live those values. And this is someone who clearly does not live those values. And of course, I believe the victims, the people accusing him of these, sexually inappropriate situations. But I will also say I've seen a lot of people defending him and saying things like innocent until proven guilty. But I don't think there's going to be any sort of, legal ramifications for this action. Yeah. A lot of the things he did wouldn't legally qualify as sexual assault, save for, grabbing the woman's hand and trying to shove it down his pants. But people don't go to the police for a myriad of reasons, particularly women, because oftentimes they're not believed or dismissed. There's hundreds of thousands of untested rape kits in this country. So, the idea that if they had simply gone to the police or called 911, things would have been okay. And I just want to also include the fact that Andrew Callaghan is a very large individual. He's like 6'4". These women are significantly smaller than him. So put yourself in their position for a second and ask yourself, why would you say yes in that scenario? You're afraid. He's in your house. You can't get him out. He's trying to wear you down. At a certain point, you might be afraid of what he's going to do to you if you continue to say no. So, I feel so bad for them, but I'm, really proud that they had the bravery to come forward with their stories. And hopefully there can be some form of justice, whatever that takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes. And I think you're exactly right. And it is brave, by the way. It is brave. And by mentioning his size, people forget or think perhaps that just because someone is funny or irreverent and does this little bit, that they're not capable of having another side. We should tell you the film was helmed, This Place Rules, by Absolutely Productions, production company founded by Tim Heidecker and Eric Wareheim of Tim and Eric fame. That's Tim there. Heidecker condemned Callaghan's alleged behavior Thursday on his podcast and said there are no plans to work with him again. In a recent statement sent to Variety, Callaghan's legal rep said, Andrew is devastated that he is being accused of any type of physical or mental coercion against anyone. Conversations about pressure and consent are extremely important, and Andrew wants to have these conversations so he can continue to learn and grow. While every dynamic is open to interpretation and proper communication is critical from all those involved, repeated requests for money should not be part of these conversations. The statement did go on to say there are always multiple sides to a story. So the statement started out quite clever. And seemingly, I'm with you women, hashtag me too. And then it turned to shaming, okay, shame on you. These, the word they call these women. They just want my money, and that's a shame. I'll give you the last word, Ravana, and then we'll move on to, well, here we go again.
Yeah, I'll just say that he completely negated any goodwill of that message by including a line about them asking for money. It's disgusting.